that this episode really hit my feels. I mean, yeah, I didn't like cry or anything, but fuck me, dude. My feels are kind of shot a little bit because this is some really heavy, tragic stuff. I want to pay attention. I need to reread a set of lines really quick. I just need to. I need to go back to the "that's a shitty reason for a kid to kill his father" scene really quick. Because I need to reread these lines and try to interpret them. And then Kiritsugu, you're a good person, aren't you? I'll get you off the island. You decide the rest on your own. Anything you want to take with you? Nothing at all. That face of his, as the music just comes in, is fucking beautiful. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's beautiful because of how fucking tragic it is. It's sad. It's very tragic. But the way that it just bridges the gaps between our two Kiritsugus is really good. Because there was a line 2 episodes ago in which Saber kind of tries to break down Kiritsugu by calling him someone who once was a dreamer, someone who once aspired to be a hero. And Kiritsugu looks back to her in almost like genuine anger, but then his face loosens up as he starts to tell Saber off about the foolishness of chivalry and how war itself is hell. There's no sides. There's no good in it. Well, not he doesn't say that. He's let me try to rephrase that. He's also saying that there's no kindness or or there's no kindness in war. There's no time to talk to someone. You know what I'm trying to get at. He was arguing that to her. So I think this is a cool parallel that we get to see this to bridge a time when Kiritsugu, how much he changed, because Kiritsugu's ideology is only going to continually be warped by what he has just experienced in this episode. And I've got to say, though, this is really well told. The way that it adds to the world building and it just makes the world so much bigger, it connects loose ends, and it even shows us Kiritsugu from before we know him today. It was just told very, very well. I am surprised. I am a little shocked at how disgustingly brutal it was, though, and how crazy the twists were almost. Like, how was I supposed to suspect that Kiritsugu fucking showed up to an island with his dad to do research, and then the fucking research turns these dead apostles or whatever the fuck into vampire people that eat fucking people, and then the whole fucking island burns down. You know, how am I supposed to fucking predict that? That's some next level absurdity. Not that it's like bad writing, it's just that it's absurd. It's crazy. Oh my goodness. All right, okay. Let's start talking about the episode from the beginning. So, we open the episode with a very, very gorgeous set piece shot of showing the island and the water. Now, the studio who does this, I think it's Ufotable, they do a damn good job with water and, well, with their background art, like the paintings that they use for the different scenes. It's gorgeous. The animation on the water, even the splash particles look really good. Our first shot of Kiritsugu is playing with other children, and I love how the first line given is Carrie. They're addressing him as that. It immediately gets you, the viewer, to know this person has been here before. This person knows a lot of the other people here, including the children, and is on good terms with them, that he even has nicknames. So just a little subtle scene like that does a lot. It is very well done. I like it. We get to see just how cool Kiritsugu is to the other children, how happy and hopeful his eyes are. They're not they're not even gloomy or sad or emotionless or serious. They're just big and bright instead of like this, like they're just like that. It is really cool. And we slowly get introduced to Kiritsugu's island life, very organically, I might add. The pacing was very well paced throughout. You go from scene to scene, you learn more and more before Havoc begins. I really enjoyed that. We meet Shirley like 40 seconds in, and she's a pivotal part of this episode. One character that I think is similar to Irie in some ways, and holy crap, Lois! It's like everything's connected. Great. I like the way that Kiritsugu says Shirley. Shot it! I love Kere. Also, let me just be fucking real here. Shirley's gorgeous, dude! She's so cute and I love her brown eyes. They're so adorable. And then bad stuff happens later. Yay! We see some more shots of the beautiful scenery of the island. This is an island after all. We see some of the locals. We learn some lore about the island, how the name of the island came from a myth. I'm gonna reread this myth so I can maybe draw some connections from it. Do you know where the name of this island comes from? Nope. Oh, isn't Alimango the word for crabs? So I'm assuming that the island is Alimango, or something like that. Yep. Long ago, this is a place where people made offerings to the sea gods. Well, one day, a girl with nothing to feed her sick mother took some of the food that had been offered. And so the girl was cursed and transformed into a crab. Interesting myth, for sure. Fate is based on myths, so why not have their own myths? Maybe this is an actual myth and I don't know about it. Who knows? And also, the shrine consecrated to those gods happens to be up this mountain around where your mansion is. That's why none of the villagers want to go up there. It's very interesting how they paint this mansion to be an ill-fated place, one of omens and one of bad misfortune, and it would become that later. I'm not sure how it could tie into the myth at all if they connected the story, because I don't really see it, but if it does, then that's pretty neat. You'll apparently be cursed if you go there too often. Well, Kiritsugu definitely was, and you were cursed too, Shirley, because you went up there a lot. We also get a good line from Shirley saying you're not exactly an outsider anymore, though, which is a good way of saying you're a regular here. You've been here long enough that we accept you. Instead of just saying, "Oh, hello there, Kiritsugu. You've been here for 3 years now, have you not? We like you now." You're not exactly an outsider anymore, though. Like, it's just, simple, good dialogue. Very effective. I enjoy that. They even treat him like her little brother, which is really sweet. Everyone, yeah, we get some more little fun stuff about how everyone used to bully him when he first arrived. I mean, he was an outsider, makes sense. You had a weird name. The chemistry between Shirley and Kiritsugu is really nice. They bounce off of each other really well. They crack jokes at each other. One is very much very nurturing, but one is a bit more oblivious, and it's a nice little combination. It's really interesting just how much it shows Kiritsugu's change. One of my favorite scenes is when Kiritsugu's like, "It's Kiritsugu," or like, "Come on, it's not that hard to pronounce my name," and then Shirley's like, "Kiritsugu," and then Kiritsugu's like, "That's not even close." It's really good. It's a really good way to set up the tragedy of this episode by getting you really invested in with the characters. We meet his father, who has been experimenting on flowers. He's made over 100 of these. He's given them the ability of eternal life. They will neither wither away, and they've already bloomed. So he's trying to uh, do tests and try to come up with a way to give humans immortality, or to erase the mortality of human life. And while that goal seems pretty good in nature and like it's for the people, it is something that I don't think anyone should play with. Like, this is just my opinion. More immortality is something. It's you're playing with fucking fire. Anytime anyone in a fictional story tries to touch it, it's really complicated. I'm not for it at all. To be honest with you, we see even Shirley is interested in some of this research and was able to create her own. It was her first success, and it's adorable how she wrote her name on it. It's really adorable, but as we learn, it was imperfect. It didn't work. So as an assistant, she's been learning and picking up on some of his studies and stuff. Kiritsugu is even like, "Can I try it? That'd be awesome. I want to be there for you." And his father just says no. Kiritsugu is still too early for you. This isn't a game. It's dangerous, and he's being serious. He doesn't want Kiritsugu to get involved because that's his son. He doesn't really want anything bad to happen to him. He's perfectly fine with harming the lives of others, but not his own son. And he's right. Kiritsugu is too young for it. I believe that he would have caused something bad to happen because he wouldn't have grasped or understood how to do it. But Kiritsugu had to mature very fast, as you can see by the end of this episode. Is it? We just get some very nice silent shots of Kiritsugu watching Shirley and his father work together next to the plants as they're almost glowing vividly amidst the nighttime scenery. We even learn about how the outsiders, like the church and the other villagers, have a great disdain for Kiritsugu's father, as they believe that his studies and his work is that of what I can infer as like devil's work or witchcraft. They don't necessarily spell it out for you, but that's my interpretation, as it does make a lot of sense. We get a really cute scene with Kiritsugu and Shirley in the back of a truck just relaxing with each other. Again, I gotta applaud the lighting in this episode. It is done very well, along with the shadows on the sides that aren't being lit from the sun. It just is very pretty and gorgeous to look at. I also like the music that's almost like a chime or like what's it, a bird box? Not a bird box. One of those boxes that you open it and plays music. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, oh, I just noticed that's some really good foreshadowing. Wow. Shirley says the Reverend always choose me or is constantly talking to me about stuff. He says a demon will possess me someday if I keep working there. Well, that's not too far from the truth. It did eventually happen. That was a really nice little foreshadow. Look at this, and we have this knife, which is to protect her. It even has like a holy the cross, a holy symbol on it. He told me to keep it with me at all times. The fact that this knife would be used later to kill Kiritsugu's father is really ironic, given that the church he did not like him, and that the church gave that to Shirley with, I think, the sole purpose of protecting her in case the father did anything suspicious. Very ironic stuff that it was the son who used it to kill his own father. It's a very powerful talisman. I wonder if we'll learn more about it later, or if it will become important. Because if I'm misremembering, do forgive me. I don't believe we've seen it used before. Shirley likes Kiritsugu's father. He doesn't even scare him or scare her. She acknowledges that magical research isn't exactly normal, but that the stuff that he's doing is remarkable, and that someday it can make history and change the lives and how people live forever. It could be leading to something big, something good. She looks up to his father, something that none of the other people do, and Kiritsugu smiles at her approvingly, really appreciating that factor. They even share some watermelon with each other, and honestly, the scenes between the two are adorable. Like, I believe Irie is similar to Shirley with the attitude that they have, and it's really sad how Kiritsugu is gonna lose Irie too later because I wonder if the thing is similar is that Irie will get possessed by the vessel within her the and she won't be Irie anymore. It's kind of the same thing with Shirley. She was possessed and she wouldn't be Shirley anymore. Oh man, that's fucking sad. That's at least what I'm taking from this, at least. Shirley acknowledges that she isn't that well versed in this kind of work, and she can only do some stuff with flowers, but that Kiritsugu's father has gone into much deeper territory than that, and is expanding his abilities. She learns about the medicine that could eradicate human mortality and what he's working on. I just want him to use his power for the good of the world, so everyone will understand how impressive he is. This is something that Kiritsugu would take and harbor, is the dreams of using power for the good of the world. But Kiritsugu is not using it to be seen as impressive. He's using it to change the world because of what he's seen firsthand. The Magi, the Church, the Mages Association, they're all really fucked up. They all harbor horrible people, horrible dealings, horrible ideology. Well, I shouldn't say horrible, flawed ideology. So it's a very scary thing that he wants to change. And he's pushed towards this by Shirley herself in a later scene, which is really well done. We see that Shirley's flower wilted, a nice little parallel to what's to come. Shirley grabs Kiritsugu's hand and drags him off to a really gorgeous little area, like in a forest, I believe, or something like that. It's near a lake or a little pool of water. The animation is stellar here. The nighttime lighting with the water reflecting, it is just marvelous. It feels magical almost. The smile that Kiritsugu gives off just seeing it is so heartwarming. The music picks up and it sounds very different to the music that we listen to. It sounds very Asian inspired. Reminds me of Naruto soundtracks a little bit. I wish I knew what kind of instruments these were so I could better uh, give their names instead of just saying it sounds like this. You know. Shirley asks Kiritsugu what he would like to be when he grows up, and I find the answer really interesting because we know that what Kiritsugu grows up to be, but I like the little nod here with Shirley asking, "If you take up your dad's work, what will you use it for?" After all, what he's trying to strive for is quite impressive. If you were to be in that position, what would you do? It's a reasonable question. A power that can change the world. What would someone do with that? If it's yours someday, what would you do with that? Kiritsugu, what an interesting character. Yeah, change the world. Something that will stick in his mind forever. You can do it. I guarantee it. Those words just are very sweet and kind, and they're uplifting. Kiritsugu is just, that's a secret. Come on, I don't know. Shirley's like, hmm. Shirley walks up to him. Then let me see what you'll do when you grow up. I'll stay with you until then. Okay? He blushes. And it's sad because that's not going to happen. because she'll die later. Kiritsugu is embarrassed, flustered, blushing. Kiritsugu absolutely had a crush on her. Something, and I believe that she liked Kiritsugu too. Kiritsugu's like, whatever, and Shirley's just like, and she starts to hug him and squeeze him and just play around. It's adorable. And we're nearing where all the fun stops. Congratulations, you've made it past the prologue. It's time for pain. Kiritsugu's dad's like, hey, don't go to the village. Bad things are gonna happen. Bye. Kiritsugu's like, wait a second, what do you mean? Doesn't really listen. Kind of goes outside. I really like how the lighting is set to a very fiery sky as nighttime is approaching. The sun is setting. It's almost perfect for the fire that would come to burn down the town later. Haha, great. Kiritsugu starts exploring the town looking for Shirley. He comes across the church, notices that it's open. He walks inside and finds... I love how during this scene you can hear the chickens in the background. It is really, really cool. Or this might not be the church. This might be Shirley's house. It might be... Yeah, it looks like it's Shirley's house or something. My apologies for making that mistake. And Kiritsugu finds a bottle of something. Something very interesting that would change a lot of this fucking... I don't even know. It's this test bottle of some fluid, 395278. And here we have one of the hardest scene to watch. It's very subtle that how fast it is. We hear the chickens, freak out as we see like a pair of teeth gnashing and biting. I wasn't too sure what exactly it was. The blood on the chickens just shows you that something strange is afoot. As Kiritsugu goes to the back of the yard into the chicken coop and finds something abhorrent, monstrous, disgusting, vile, evil. This was hard. As soon as I saw the figure of the little girl, I knew that it was Shirley. She's just eating these fucking chickens out of... It's because she's become a vampire or becoming one. Her lust for blood has overtaken her human instinct and is driving her to do this. She barely has any scraps of humanity left. She does look at Kiritsugu and is able to return for just a brief moment to talk to him because of how attached she is to Kiritsugu, even calling him by his nickname, Keri. This scene was really hard to watch. The spastic camera movement, the screaming, the animalistic movement of Shirley, Kiritsugu's dumbfounded expression, her crying and just trying to hide her face. The voice acting is really well done. It really gives you the sense that she's scared and that all she wanted was to do good and prove that Sensei was a good man and that they were going to change the world, but it only brought greater misfortune. I feel so bad for her. I really do. It's really fucked up when she's holding herself back, trying not to bite or go for blood or anything. Eventually, she finally does succumb and starts to fucking throw herself to the ground and beating herself in because she doesn't want Kiritsugu to see her like that. She even begs Kiritsugu to kill her, throwing the knife towards him. I hate the voice acting hurts me, man. I don't want to hear it again. Ah! Oh. The voice acting is really incredible. Kiritsugu watches as Shirley fucking bites her own hands, like chomps into her own flesh. And he leaves, I believe. Either the only thing that I can't tell if Shirley was able to kill herself there with her own on her own. No, that wouldn't make sense, would it? I don't know. It's left to interpretation, I think, unless I'm being stupid. We don't ever see her again, but if she's a vampire, how could she kill herself? Well, what's done is done. The spread of the curse is too much. There's nothing that can happen. It's to save the village for now. Kiritsugu starts to cry to himself, and the Reverend is trying to alert the village. But it's too late. Once you have one, it'll only spread and reproduce unto others. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. That must be the Reverend probably got bit there. We see some more vampires walking in. Kiritsugu's freak out is very warranted. It's I feel so bad for this little kid. Fucking hell, dude. And we're introduced to some really cool stuff. The church executors, armed in their hoods and their crosses, and I believe the main one was Kiritsugu. It was Kirei. So, that, if that is true, that is incredible. It's like their stories were intertwined from the very beginning. It's really fucking cool. I will admit, though, I didn't expect magic in the Fate universe to be able to create vampires. What's next? Werewolves? Fucking... I couldn't even tell you. That's just insane. I mean, it's not that far-fetched. We have people who can do magic. Why not? But we also learned some lore about this place, about how these guys are the dead apostles or something. I'll have to try to think about it. But we see one of the executor like wield a little Wolverine claw that's similar to Kirei's, so that's why I think that one might be Kirei. Kiritsugu escapes from the window and tries to run away. As we see the chaos of the town, everyone's dying, everyone's getting killed by their loved ones. We see some of the Magi Association, the Magic Association fucking snapping their fingers and burning down the town, burning down the people. We see those come back to life as reanimated vampires. The whole island is set ablaze. The village itself set ablaze as nothing echoes but the red and orange sparks, and I can only imagine the horrid smell of blood and smoke and ash. The shot is really gorgeous, though. Kiritsugu gets to watch this happen all around him. Everyone he's known for most of his life, the people he's grown up with, the people he's found friendship with, the people he loves, all gone, turned to ashes in an instant, in one night. And well, he'll learn later, all thanks to his own father's damn ambition. The music here is really cool. I like the flute and how fast-paced it is and how urgent and dire the situation is. We made a female mercenary, really badass mercenary, very slick, very smooth, doesn't show a lot of emotion, only when needed. And Kiritsugu is just in awe watching this happen, but before him, just the way that she talks to Kiritsugu is so cold. Kiritsugu's like, "Who are you?" "Shouldn't you worry about yourself first?" she replies. "Well, if you just sit there, you'll join them soon enough." That's just crazy, my guy. That's insane to me. Why would they burn down the village? And then we learn about vampires. This is crazy to me. And like, fucking hell, vampires and Fate. Doesn't I just learned about Tsukihime, the first novel that the creators of Fate made. Tsukihime is also a vampire story, so this is kind of funny to me. I wonder if I should ever look into Tsukihime after I finish Fate. We call them dead apostles. So I'm not sure if the vampires themselves are dead apostles or if the people here are apostles, therefore they can become vampires. I'm going to go with the first thing, is that vampires are just called dead apostles. They drink blood to reproduce themselves. which, yeah, that's a little different, but it makes sense here. Nearly everyone on this island is a dead apostle now. Wonderful. This whole island's fucked up. It's being cleaned up and erased from the map so that any information of it will never be leaked. That's the whole purpose of a lot of these organizations that are almost cult-like. They hide information and work in the shadows beneath the masses' eyes. Kind of similar to our own world, isn't it? I believe this is why Kiritsugu has a doesn't care about chivalry, doesn't care about magi, doesn't care about anything. Everyone's evil. Everyone commits atrocious deeds for what they believe is just. It's sort of, it's a real gateway into his headspace, learning how everything came to be here and how he learned about it. It's quite interesting. They believe without doubt that it is fine to slaughter anyone who defies the will of God. That is the church for you. If you look back with the Crusades, then yeah, they did. They murdered people in cold blood, even innocent people, in the name of God, just simply because they believed in anything different than them or because they were told to. History is fucked up. All religions are rooted in some crazy fucking insanity when it comes to keeping their own ideology and controlling. The church is very controlling all throughout history. I have nothing against any religion. I hope no one is taking that away from my discussion here. I honestly don't know what I identify as, to be honest with you. I grew up as a Christian. I still am. Hello everybody, I'm back. You're gonna see a weird cut. My PC froze while I was recording. This has happened before and it ended up ruining an entire episode, making the file corrupted. But I've came up with a way to circumvent that by from happening. So whenever my PC freezes and crashes, I can recover my video, and I was able to do so don't worry, that's why you're seeing this. So I'm gonna wrap up the discussion and talk about the main points that I want to talk about. First, I really need to get a new computer though. This fucking thing, it's been a good little PC. It's right here. And it served me well, and I do love it, but I've had it for 6 years, and it was only like a middle of the road PC 6 years ago, so you can imagine how outdated it is now. But it's fine. It's got me through my entire YouTube channel and more so far. But also, while I was in between the recording with the last, before the PC froze, I started thinking about the episode, and I was able to come to a few things. Kiritsugu is not the guy in the church, because Kiritsugu is younger than Kiritsugu. So duh. My apologies, that was kind of dumb. But I hope you could understand my reasoning as to why I thought that might have been him. So, yeah. I also I recontextualized that the reason that the vampire plague spread is because it's partially Kiritsugu's fault. Because Kiritsugu didn't finish off Shirley, she would go and oft and spread it towards other people, and those people would spread it, and that's why it wasn't able to be contained anymore. If Kiritsugu had opted to try to murder her with that, things may have been prevented. So, as you can see, that's a heavy burden on Kiritsugu's heart. That is very fucked up. So let's go ahead and continue where I left off. Okay. So I was mainly talking about the last part of the episode when Kiritsugu is talking with the the hired mercenary, and we learn about how the church, the Magic Association, etc., will do anything to keep secrets off the map so that the masses don't learn of what magic can do. And if you remember, they are brutal. They'll kill anyone, even if the person is normal, if they haven't been infected. It's just a safe measure. If they came across Kiritsugu, they would have killed him. But thankfully, they didn't. It was just a hired mercenary. And it also recontextualizes to us, the viewer, about how mages are We'll go into that a little bit more. The mages and the church are fucking horrible people. They will do anything to further their families, to further their experiments, and to indoctrinate the future heirs that they create. And if you remember, Kiritsugu's the fifth of the Emiya line, which means he would have been indoctrinated into this too, eventually, by his own father. And it goes to make you think, how was Kiritsugu's father's father, or the grandparents after that, the great-great-grandparents? It's a cycle of awful people. Just look at Tokiomi. He's a prime example of a mage. They act in such ways so different from normal people. They're pretty awful. So we get back to the scene where Kiritsugu goes back to his father at their mansion, and Kiritsugu's father is erasing some of the evidence, some of the documents, and some other stuff. The scene was really cool because there was no music or anything, just the sounds of magic and the sounds of books falling, the flames. Just a neat little scene. And this scene really gets to me. This really makes me think of mages in a whole different light. And it also goes to show exactly why Kiritsugu and why Kariya don't like mages. Kiritsugu becoming a mage executor makes complete sense. Well, because he's being taken in by this one mercenary, he would probably go into mercenary work. And why he was so willing to brutally destroy Kenneth's family, or Kenneth himself and Sola, without a care in the world. The disdain for mages is high. That's not. I'm not trying to say that's the only reason. It isn't, but it's still there. I want you to remember that. Kiritsugu's father's like, "Oh, you're safe. Nice. I'm relieved. I told you not to go to the village, though. What the fuck, man?" And Kiritsugu says, "Dad, why were you researching dead apostles?" And he's just like, "Kiritsugu, how did you know?" "Shirley used the magic on herself." And this goes to show you what the mages are like. Oh, well, that's very sad, but you can't change the past. And while you can't change the past is correct, it's the lack of empathy and respect and just lack of a heart that shows the brutality of what mages act like. If you really think about it, they're not so different from corrupt scientists who use human experiments and lab rats. If you look at the past, like with Germany, Russia, and a lot of other countries who experimented on things such as lobotomy or other things like that, they simply didn't care. It was all about research and finding an answer, finding a cure to this, finding something to look at, information, data. The mages are similar in that regard. The only thing that matters is the research, the data, and perhaps getting to the root itself, whatever that may be. I believe that the mages are trying to find their own way to get to the root that doesn't necessarily need the grail itself. So the mages are fucked, man. It wasn't my intention, but it just means Shirley gave me an early answer. The early answer part is just, wow. Kiritsuga's just blank face, like, they don't show his eyes, but you can just see his like frown almost. And Kiritsugu asks a very, very good question. Will you use me one day? You did with Shirley? Don't be stupid. A dead apostle that can't control its bloodlust is a failure. However, the Emiya family research requires unlimited time. The root isn't reachable with a mortal body. So it goes to show that they only care about their family. No one else. And I guess mage research. He could care less about the people that are dead here in this island. They're destroyed lives and families. Kiritsugu's feelings. It's all about getting to the root. It's all about the research. That's dark. And if Kiritsugu hadn't murdered his father, I believe Kiritsugu would have become something like his father. It's a cycle that doesn't break. It's consistent. And Oh yeah, I also just remembered. Do you remember Kiritsu's time magic with the double ace or double excel? There you go. He's a part of the Emiya family, and they specialize in that kind of magic, like with the plants. It's a really cool attention to detail. I fucking love the foreshadowing in the show. It was a time-consuming experiment, but it seems to have failed. All Kiritsugu's father sees it as a failed experiment. It took too much time. At least I have an answer. That's all there is to it. I'll have to rewrite my theory from scratch. He doesn't give a fuck. And this goes to show why Kiritsugu will later have a changed worldview, both on like chivalry coming up and mages themselves. And it gives another reason for Karia to not like mages at all either, and why he would abandon it, and why Tokiomi would see him as a failure. So they're going to leave, but first, Tokyo Kiritsugu's father tells about the motorboat that he hit in the south coast, and something insane happens. One of the more tragic parts of this episode, and it might be my favorite part. They're gonna head out and leave, and what does Kiritsugu do? He uses a knife that was given to him by Shirley, a knife bequeathed to her by the Reverend to perhaps kill Kiritsugu's father to keep her safe. If you remember, the Reverend always told Shirley that sticking around with that man and sticking around at the mansion sooner or later, would lead to her being possessed by a demon. Well, he was correct. Isn't it ironic that that knife would be used to end his life, but not by her, his own son? I'll do it. This is where Kiritsugu's conviction comes to realization. There's a magical field surrounding the forest, a powerful one. It'll take time to dispel, but I can get inside. He's basically arguing that because he shares that blood, he's the one who has to do it. He's the only one that can do it, and he's going to do it. He's gonna learn how to do certain things so that he can achieve the dream of helping mankind and humanity in his own way. We cut back to Kiritsugu's father, just in utter shock and horror that he's been stabbed by his own son. It's quite a similar parallel to Tokiomi's death in a way, if you think about it. Only Kirei's reason for killing Tokiomi is a lot different than Kiritsugu's reason. I love this scene. As Kiritsugu grabs a gun, something that would become his most trusted weapon later on, as he just thinks of Shirley and everything he's been put through, the loss of her, someone who promised to stay along by his side for his eventual dream that would come to fruition. At least she believed so. Ended here today. I love how there's no sound of the bullet firing. The music just, until at first when you see the trigger being pulled, it's only in an instant when the sound of the gunshots come. The emotionless look in Kiritsugu's eyes as he fires multiple shots into his own father. The music swells into just a sad, bittersweet piece. You can truly feel the emotion here as Kiritsugu shaking while holding the gun. And he's trying to throw the gun away, but he can't do it. He can't do it. Instead, I misinterpreted the scene as him reloading, and I apologize, but the scene is a lot deeper than that. He couldn't throw it. It's similar to what he would become later. They escaped the island with the boat. The magic field was able to pretty easy to break through. I just Kiritsugu tries to give a reason why he killed his father, which is why, because he would eventually continue his research on dead apostles and create more havoc and terror across other lands. To which this person says, that's a shitty reason to kill your father. And Kiritsugu says, you're a good person, aren't you? And while I initially interpreted this as something different, it's more so Kiritsugu being happy that someone else would see what he did as bad and try to rationalize that with him. He's thankful to see another human being, at least. She'll get him off this island, but everything else will be up to his decision. He'll have to take care of himself once they leave. Anything you want to take with you? To which we see Kiritsugu's broken, traumatized face like nothing at all. It's time to leave this behind forever. All that's left a memory and a scar on the heart as he leaves. The music comes to play, this beautiful song. Shizuka ni matataku Oishii tachi no chiriuku sora. Oh man, that's beautiful. The lyrics feel so fitting for Fate itself. I'll have to analyze them someday when I have more context. But for now, Kiritsugu's eyes have changed into the eyes of what we know him today. Distant memories, sometime, somewhere. Wow, what a brilliant episode. We learned everything about Kiritsugu that I could have wanted. We learned how he would eventually come to his own ideals. We have sympathy for him and his reasoning for killing someone like Kenneth so brutally. We get some world building on the church and mages themselves and how dark this world truly is with them existing. We learned a lot, and I believe a lot of foreshadowing was presented, like with Shirley, who I believe is similar to Irie in a lot of ways. It's really, really good. That was a fantastic episode, and it gives me the feeling of, I don't know what to say. It's a odd feeling, but I really do feel bad for Kiritsugu. I can understand him a lot more now. That was really tragic, but it was really well told. Fate sure knows how to tell a story in just an episode. The animation was gorgeous. The music was well timed and well implemented and very beautiful. Different types of songs and different instruments were used for the setting, too. Nice attention to detail. The voice acting was on point and just gave me chills, especially Shirley. And it was just a really well told backstory. I'm really glad that we got this, as it's going to, I believe, make the rest of the series more impactful and more understanding for Kiritsugu and the actions he's going to have to take later. But as this episode closes, I'm not sure what can happen next. If we continue Kiritsugu's story, because we have some gaps left to fill, like his time where he gets his bullets, and the time where he becomes he meets the Ironsburns and he becomes a executor. Or if we go back to the plot for a little while with the Grail War. Anything that happens, though, I am very excited. This is a wonderful episode and I very much enjoyed it. And I want to let you know that if you stayed all the way to the end, I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. Thank you. And, well, whoever it is that you are, wherever you are, if it's morning, day, evening, or night, please stay safe out there. And be sure to take care. I'll see you all next time for some more Fate Zero.